Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me as part of this broadcast? It is should be broadcasting live now. I just need to get everyone, our presenters, back in the room. If you can hear me, please type something in the unified chat.
Hi, Alex.
Hello. This is now broadcasting.
Awesome. Is this a new room or the same?
It's the same room. I see all of our participants, viewers in here, so please stand by. We're just about got it. Let us get our folks back into this room. I'm sorry for the delay.
Hi, David. I think we're just silent. Can you hear us now? And Paulette? Alex is working on trying to get the participants back into this new instance, which seems to be working much better.
Okay.
Great. As soon as we get Samantha in, we can actually start.
Mm-hmm. Get Sam.
And just to let you know what happened, somehow our participant room and our viewer room were disconnected and we weren't able to broadcast. And once that fails, it's very hard to get back. And Alex worked his magic, clicked his heels. I think that actually might have worked, Paul. And we were able to regenerate the room. And now you see there's participants coming back in.
Our speakers are coming in, so they'll click on the business hangouts. And just to let you guys know, Michael and Peggy, I was able to reinitialize the room with the broadcasting capability. So now we're a big happy family with the NMC panelists and our viewers together. I just need to get everyone back in. We can get Sam in, we can start the program, and then start bringing in our speakers. So please bear with me.
Morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Again.
Here we are.
Yeah, Paul's been clicking furiously. I like that, yeah. Thank you, Paul.
How many people do we have?
19 so far.
Well, that's good.
Oh, there's Sam. Oh, everyone's popping in. Oh,
Hey, Sam.
what a glorious morning.
Okay. Yay, just got the invite. Perfect.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start with my intro and then kick it over to Sam while I continue to bring in our other speakers.
Okay.
I see that they're filing in, and I do apologize for the delay, but I will make sure to get as much in as we can with the balance of the hour. Okay. So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Sam.
I was just going to say really quickly, before what I said about trying to fit it in within the hour, now that we're at 10:20, I think we just do our normal conversation as is, and we'll use it as a promotional asset. So even if we go a little later, I think that's okay.
Okay, so yeah, viewers, if you can stick around a little bit longer, we'll have some more for you. If not, then we'll archive this so that we can get you the last bit of the program. But Let's get started. Good morning from Austin, Texas. On behalf of the NMC, I'm delighted to welcome you to the NMC Beyond the Horizon 2015 Summer Conference Preview. In this one-hour session, or as long as you can stay with us, a panel of conference participants will highlight a range of featured sessions, 5 minutes of fame, and workshops that will be featured at the 2015 NMC Summer Conference. If you have never been, the NMC Summer Conference is a one-of-a-kind event attracting highly skilled professionals interested in the integration of emerging technologies into teaching, learning, and creative inquiry. I'm Alex Freeman, Director of Memberships and Programs at the NMC. I'm here to assist with technical support, as you could see me furiously working to get us all together. But if you are encountering other problems, just type something into the unified chat. That's the chat box that everybody's been using up until this point. Okay, so first, a bit of logistics in this session. If you have a question, you can type it into the unified chat. We'll collect your questions, and I'll kind of weave them in so that Sam has them during her moderation. We also have a special Twitter contest for the opportunity to win an Amazon gift card. So rack up your knowledge of past summer conferences, and that should get you into a good place. And for this program, we tweet, and when we do, we use the hashtag NMC15. That's hashtag NMC15. And now sit back and get comfortable and enjoy the following discussion. But now on to our to the host of our moderator of today's program is Samantha Becker. Samantha is the Senior Director of Communications at the NMC, is the Director of the NMC Horizon Project, and lead writer and researcher for the NMC Horizon Report series. I'll give it over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Alex, and I'd like to add my warm welcome to the audience today, and of course to my fellow panelists. It's great to get together, and even greater to get together in person. I really cherish the NMC Summer Conference because it's one of the few times a year we're not sitting in a Hangout or on a Skype call or in a Google Doc together. We're actually face-to-face. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from the panelists on some of the fun sessions they're going to be presenting and engaging in. So happy to be here, and I'd love for you to get a sense of who's joining me here today. So we're going to do a little round robin, go around the room with the speakers, and if you can give a little bit of background information about yourself, and then your experience with summer conferences. Have you been to a past one, and if so, what was it like? So over to you first, Michael, for that.
You got to warn me so I can unmute myself. Thanks, Sam. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. You know, it was the NMC Summer Conference that really convinced me that I wanted to be a participant with NMC. The one that stands out in my mind, I've been to a couple. I've been to a couple before I got more heavily involved, but I had a great time at the conference in Princeton, and one of my memories there was being able to go in the Apple bus and record a guitar piece. But also, what really stands out to me is the kind of people that you meet, and meeting people from all over the world. I remember I met Eva Delara there, and being able to meet and talk to people who are working in interesting frontiers of education and learning and technology around the world is one of the things I really value about NMC. Also, the opportunity to meet people from multiple sectors, so that it was the first time I met people from museums at a technology conference and could see what they're doing, and of course librarians and K-12. It's that mixture and the variety of the kinds of people you meet at NMC. They all have a passion for learning and a passion for technology, but they're coming about it in different ways, and that's what I really like of those kind of connections, and they've become long-term members of my professional network, and so that's why I look forward to going every year.
Thank you, Michael. We love having you every year. So how about you, Gordon? From a staff perspective, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've experienced at past summer conferences.
Sure, Samantha. So I've actually been able to attend just one since coming on to the NMC about 2 years ago. I had to miss the last one, but it was a wonderful experience. So obviously, your first one, you learn a great deal, and I met a lot of people. I was challenged on my ideas with education. I came back with a lot of ideas how to maybe help the NMC and as well as my community. So there's a lot going on, and I think some of the things we have this year, I'm really excited to attend those.
Looking forward to it too, Gordon. Thank you. Jonathan, I know you're coming to us all the way from Australia, so it's after 1 a.m. your time. So we'll go a little easy on you. But for now, tell us a little bit about yourself and some encounters you've had at past summer conferences.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's the internet for you. It doesn't really feel like that far, unless you look on the Hangouts map there. Yeah, listen, NMC conference, obviously it's a little bit of a hike for me to get over there, but I was pretty privileged to be accepted into the ambassador program, the K-12 ambassador program at NMT. Was about nearly 3 years ago, I think, and was able to get to my first conference back then. And yeah, obviously this is going to be my third one now, so it's been fantastic for me. Australia is kind of a large country geographically, but small population-wise. So it's the chance to get over to NMC and meet people from even all over the world. Really, it's just fantastic. And probably the thing I love most about it is it's not an absolutely massive, huge conference where you don't get to have face time with interesting people. It's just a perfect size, I think. And also, it seems to attract a bunch of really high-quality speakers and just practitioners in general. So when you sort of combine that, the chance to actually talk, one-to-one and face-to-face with all these fantastic people with the really high caliber of practitioners that's there, and it's pretty unmissable for me. That's my story.
Great, Jonathan. And I know you're one of those high caliber practitioners, and we'll get to hear a little bit more about some of the sessions that you'll be leading in a moment here. And on to our next Jonathan. So for the purposes of today, we'll call you Jonathan F.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, and I believe you might, is it true that you're a summer conference newbie, or have you been to past one?
I have been to summer conferences before, although I'll be returning after a bit of a hiatus from the summer conferences. In fact, I'm not certain, but the last one I might have attended, well, one of the last ones I've attended was certainly in Princeton, which is where I'm joining you from today. Little did I know at that time that I'd ultimately wind up living here. But I'm based in New York City, where my work is centered around two topics I'll be talking about during the summer conference, which is giving people credit for the achievements that they demonstrate throughout their professional lives, including the kinds of work that they do when they're interacting with the community at the NMC Summer Conference, and actually throughout the year through NMC activities. So we're doing work with digital credentials and digital badges. I can talk more about the sessions I'll be a part of at the summer conference, but I wanted to echo comments that both Michael and Jonathan made, which is one of the things I love about NMC is its ability to convene people involved in learning from all different parts of the landscape, which is one big trend in learning, that the boundaries between K-12 and higher ed and learning that we do with associations and with museums and cultural institutions are fading away, and NMC has been leading in this regard for quite a while.
Thank you. Very well said, Jonathan. Learning is learning, and the ability to have people from all different learning sectors come together and share best practices from each world to improve the next world is a really exciting prospect, and one of the reasons I really look forward to the conference. Nancy, I will refer to you, Nancy House, as the queen of the NMC Summer Conference because Nancy's our official event manager and puts everything together. It's like magic, but I know there's lots of behind-the-scenes work that goes into it. So over to you, Nancy.
Thank you, Sam. I think this is my 13th NMC conference that I've coordinated and managed, so I'm really excited to be a part of the NMC. And today I'm going to be sharing a lot of the logistical details with you, and we're just so happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Nancy. I couldn't agree more. Next up we have Peggy Snyder from Autodesk, and I don't know if you received a special announcement from us last week, but we just launched some new courses in the NMC Academy that are all Autodesk that will definitely give you a jump start if you're interested in 3D printing and maker spaces. So really good stuff. But in addition to that, Autodesk will have a very big presence at Summer Conference. So Peggy, over to you.
Great, thanks very much. I've been involved with NMC for a number of years. I don't remember exactly how many of the conferences I've been to. In my previous life at Adobe, I was there for a number of them and really excited about Autodesk being part of the NMC family now. My experiences at all of the conferences were first fun. I think that's the one thing that I really enjoy about them, and I think it's a great time to sort of get out of your world and experience, what others are doing, what others are thinking. We get so bogged down in sort of the day-to-day sort of challenges and things that we're doing in our own jobs that going to the NMC conference, as everyone has mentioned, is a great time to see what other people are doing, talk to other people, learn new technologies, and I think just as I mentioned, have some fun. I think it's a great conference. It is a great size, and there's always something to learn and a lot of great, interesting people to meet. So I'm looking forward to it this year.
Hear, hear, Peggy. Well said. I also commonly in my conversations refer to the NMC Summer Conference as the beach bonfire of conferences, because it is that that size where you're able to have more intimate conversations, have hallway conversations, and really get to know each other on that type of level. So over to you, Steve Hargadon. I know you're leading a featured session at the summer conference, so I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and what brings you to the summer conference.
Nice. So I got in a little late, but I'll echo what Jonathan said and just how much I appreciate the ways in which the conference crosses the boundaries of the learning professions, which is a large part of my learningrevolution.com work right now, is just focusing on the learning in each of these different areas. My session is somewhat controversial. It's called Propaganda, and the idea is the way in which propaganda has informed kind of the nature of how we think about learning, and to try and really think about what we're trying to accomplish in learning and then look at the technologies as they address those desires. And for me, there's this inherent tension between the Socratic view of learning, which is drawing out the capacity of the individual, and Plato's Republic, which was kind of the way we describe learning now, putting people into school to accomplish a social goal. So I'm very interested in taking the EdTech framework and saying, let's look at EdTech through the lens of this dichotomy, and what are we really trying to accomplish, and maybe do a little bit of what the Amish do, which is to determine what your values are and then to determine how you're going to adopt technology based on those values. So I'm totally looking forward to it. I love this conference. Every conference has people in the hallways, but I feel like the NMC conference for me is such a quality of people that I spend months afterwards just following up on all the connections.
Yeah, I love that, Steve. In quality people, I mean, it really is a quality event. Speaking of quality people, though, I know we've all met interesting folks at Summer Conference over the past couple of years. Michael, could you tell me maybe about a time where you met someone that you wouldn't have met otherwise if it wasn't for Summer Conference?
Oh, I've met a lot of people, but I think, as I mentioned before, I think it's people in other sectors. I go to other meetings that are higher education. But somebody like Jonathan Nalder, to meet a practitioner from Australia, I mean, that's not something that happens at most of the conferences that I'm at. And someone will get up at 1 in the morning to do a live conference with NMC, who has that level of passion. And as several people commented, in a setting that is kind of small and intimate, so you get to know everybody who's there. If you know someone's going to NMC and you want to meet them, you're not going to have trouble finding them and having a chance to chat with them, and that's great. I mentioned Eva Delera before, just a brilliant person from Spain, who's doing really interesting work in Europe, and again, somebody that I hadn't met before and now has become a really valued colleague and somebody that I bounce ideas off. Liz Neely, who's going to be giving the one of the keynotes this year from the museum world, brilliant young woman.
who, when I first met her, was at the Art Institute of Chicago and is now in Taos, New Mexico, doing really interesting work around 3D printing, as well as a number of other things. And so it's this type of person, the quality. I met Kyle Dixon for the first time in an NMC meeting. So these are people who have become valued parts of my network, as well as the other people on this call today. So that, as I say, that's been the real value for me. And you can go to bigger conferences with more people, but you'll meet more people at the NMC conference. That's been my experience.
Mm.
Well said. And Nancy, I know you've been a little starstruck at past conferences. Tell us maybe about a couple of the people that you've met that you've been particularly enthused about.
I have. I've had the pleasure of working with so many of the keynote presenters that have been at our conferences. You know, that include people like Vince Cerf, Doug Engelbart, Bill Frakes, who's going to be joining us again this year, Mimi Ito and her brother Joey Ito, and then of course I never want to leave out all the just wonderful NMC members and conference attendees that I've grown to know over all the years that have gone by.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I remember when I first started working for the NMC, I was excited. I thought, wow, this is a fantastic job. I'm going to meet all these great colleagues. But what it really turned into was, yes, I met some great colleagues, but they've actually turned out to be friends. And now when someone says, oh, I have a question, do you happen to know anyone who's launched a makerspace or a BYOD initiative? I know all the people. I say, actually, yes, I know 7 of them, and I'm able to easily connect my new friends with old friends, and it's really wonderful to have the NMC as a venue to do just that. Jonathan, what about you? Any times where you've met someone where it's kind of really changed the way you thought about something?
Yeah, that's me, Jonathan.
Jonathan N. I'm so sorry. Yes, yeah. Jonathan Nalder.
Yeah, back at my first summer conference, I had the chance to sit down with Ruben Putendera, and for me, it's been about, I think, 3 or 4 years earlier, where I'd had a conversation with some colleagues saying, I'm wanting to put together some support materials for teachers, and have you got any ideas about frameworks, that I can discuss with them? And some of my colleagues said, oh, have you heard about the CMAR model? And then for it to only be, a couple of years later, really, to be able to actually sit down with Ruben himself and ask questions and chat through those ideas, that, I mean, obviously he's a really down-to-earth sort of sharing kind of guy, but that's just an indicative example, I guess, of, what we were saying about what you were saying about the campfire kind of feel, is those kind of opportunities, Yeah, that's a really good example for me.
Great. And we've heard a little bit now from you about some of the people you've encountered who have really, changed your way of thinking, or, you've ended up collaborating with. But let's hear more about all of you and what you're bringing to summer conference. So, Jonathan F., do you want to give us a little bit of background about the pre-conference workshop through the NMC Academy that both you and Gordon are leading?
Sure. In fact, I'm going to ask Gordon to chime in, since he's really taking the lead. I'm acting as a guest in that workshop, although I'm very excited about it. Gordon has assembled a pre-conference workshop that focuses on the use of one very popular open source technology in the realm of education, in particular the use of WordPress. And this is an area where I've had some experience in building some plugins that extend what a few years ago was really just thought of as a tool for blogging. And now when you ask a crowded room of people who use WordPress, what do they use it for? And you go through a round of different hand raises. First of all, you realize that they're using it to run entire websites, not just the part that says blog over on the right-hand side. You also learn that they're using it for more application-oriented functions, dynamic operations that are actually building applications. So the segment that I'll be, I think, adding to during Gordon's workshop is about the use of a WordPress platform for enabling the kind of give and take that can result in someone being recognized for an achievement. So peer review, submissions of artifacts towards the end goal of essentially being certified in your learning, but also scaffolding your learning so that you can take what you know and have it stack up to new things. So one of the tools in that realm that we've contributed to the open source community is something called BadgeOS, and that does the kinds of things I'm talking about. So I'll put some focus on some of those elements during our session.
Great, and I know badging is one of the topics that's going to be featured in the upcoming Horizon Report K-12 edition. So I'm really excited to learn more about, how the integration of badges, is relevant for teaching and learning.
And as you may know, Samantha, I'll also be doing a session jointly with a colleague from Brandman University on the use of digital badges to certify competencies and to connect learners to opportunities. So that'll be during the main part of the summer conference, and we'll focus in just on that very topic that you just described. We'll look at it in the context of what does it mean for groups creating competency-based education degrees. What does it mean for universities that are trying to recognize service learning, extra and co-curricular activities? What does it mean for faculty development? And so we'll be looking through a practical lens at how some of these topics are being explored on campus.
Fabulous. I think that's a really pressing topic and the type of topics that we try and hit on with our breakout sessions. So highly recommend everyone go check out that breakout session. And then back to that pre-con workshop, which if you take it, you will get NMC Academy credit and that digital badge to display anywhere, which is exciting. Gordon, did you want to piggyback with some information about your workshop onto what Jonathan has said?
Sure, absolutely. I think Jonathan's being a little bit humble with his experience with WordPress, but we'll take that. BadgeOS is wonderful, and it's integrated into the NMC Academy. It's what we use for digital badging. So back to the workshop. First of all, like Samantha said, all the NMC workshops this year the attendees will receive a digital badge and a certificate, and it's all integrated into our platform. What we're going to do in the workshop is take you from different scenarios. You can use WordPress for education, to case studies, to practical hands-on knowledge. We will set up a WordPress sandbox for each and every person who's attending, so you'll get to hands-on install the right plugins, configure them, ask questions, find out what plugins work, what plugins might be best. For example, we're using LearnDash for a full LMS system, and you can integrate it with BadgeOS, like Jonathan mentioned, and create your own learning environment. Kyle Dixon from Aberdeen Christian University will also be there, and they've been using WordPress extensively, so you hear some more case studies from them as well.
Fantastic. Really looking forward to it, Gordon. Thank you. So, Peggy, what can we expect to hear from Autodesk at the summer conference this year?
So we have 2 workshops. One is around just design learning strategies, really helping to engage, creative problem solvers and purposeful makers, as we describe it. It's really about really looking at the integration of impact design learning, but also alongside effective, applications of the technology. I think that's one of the bigger challenges. It's one thing to have the technology, but how does it really resonate, and how can it help students in the classroom? Another is about cloud and fostering sort of interdisciplinary collaborations. How do you bring studio culture into a digital space, right? How do you really support independent and shared learning through the cloud, but also for those CIOs in the audience, budgeting, managing, preparing for, a cloud classroom. So we're going to try to address that in the second session. And then I'm excited that I believe the Smithsonian is also going to host a workshop, and Autodesk has been working closely with them on their Smithsonian X 3D project. So that's also kind of an exciting one.
Wow, Smithsonian and Autodesk, talk about a dream team. That is really exciting. So, Michael, King of 5 Minutes of Fame, I know you are involved in a number of ways at this upcoming conference, so tell us a little bit about some of your sessions.
Sure. It's nice of you to call me King of 5 Minutes of Fame, but I think Jared would have to claim that title. But I love doing the 5 Minutes of Fame. This will be my 3rd time, and I have to admit, the first time it was a little bit disconcerting and a little bit scary. You get up there, you got 5 minutes and a gong at the end, and boy, 5 minutes goes by fast. And what I love about it is it forces you to really think about what's your message and what do you want to communicate in a very short time. You know, I mean, TED Talks, they get 18 minutes, and here you get 5. So it's a little tough, but the last couple of times I've talked about projects we've done on campus, but I decided to do something different this year. This year I'm going to give much more of a propaganda speech, Steve. I'm going to talk about something that's really been nagging at me and bothering me over the last few years, and that's the implicit assumption that adopting more and better technology is going to solve all our learning problems. And I'm going to and while obviously by my participation in NMC and so many other things, and by being a CIO, of course I believe that technology has an incredibly important role to play, an essential role to play in the future of learning. But so do human beings. And so what I'm going to really argue is that if we put all the focus on the technology and assume that learning is going to take place without human intervention, I think we're going to be unsuccessful with the vast majority of learners who still depend upon engagement and building a human person-to-person connection in order to find the motivation and the reason to learn. Because if you don't have a reason to learn, you're just not going to do it. So that's why I'm my talk, I can't remember the exact title, but something about why MOOCs won't save us. I'm not anti-MOOCs, and I'm certainly not anti-technology, but if we lose the meaning of learning, if we lose the meaning of human communication, we're not going to be successful, and I'm afraid that there are those who are trying to lead us in that direction, and I think they're sadly misguided. So that's what I'm going to spend my 5 minutes on. I've probably already spent more than 5 minutes describing it, so
I was going to say,
pass it off at this point.
that is deep territory to cover in 5 minutes. Now, what some people in the audience may not know is you literally only get 5 minutes. So if you go over your 5 minutes, we don't just say, "Oh, so sorry." We actually bang a very large gong, and you are laughed off the stage. So it is no laughing matter. Actually, it is completely
a laughing matter.
It is 100% a laughing matter. So we will not spare any feelings. So everyone come ready for a good time for 5 minutes of fame, which really does force traditionally prolific academic conversations down to a very bite-sized chunk. So before I ask the next question, I want to switch gears just for a hot minute here. We promised an Amazon gift card, and my goodness, we are going to deliver. So get ready. I'll put on my best Alex Trebek Jeopardy mustache for our trivia question. But you do not have to answer in the form of a question, but you do have to answer on Twitter with the hashtag NMC15. So get ready on Twitter for that Amazon gift card. If you can name the past 4 locations of the NMC Summer Conference using hashtag NMC15 on Twitter, you are eligible to win said gift card. Again, that's the summer conference from 2011 through 2014. If you can name the cities where the summer conference took place and you're the first to do so on Twitter, you will be eligible to win that Amazon gift card. So, ready, set, tweet. All right, awesome. So we've talked a little bit about what we can expect from some of your sessions. And Jerry in our audience, made a really good point. Jerry's a CIO at a private university, which is not unlike a lot of the attendees we get at summer conference. So I think Jerry will be in good company. As people like Jerry are looking for tidbits and and sessions to guide them with strategic planning in terms of what's coming up for the next 5 years that they need to know about, what are some things that you've learned from summer conference that you've been able to apply to your educational practice? Steve Hargadon, let's hear from you on that one.
So I'm probably different than most because I'm a project maker, right? So I build projects kind of in education. So I almost always come away with a project, whether it's a conference or a website. There's always something. Most recently was the winter event, and I came away with a couple. One of which was a privacy conference, a conference on privacy issues, which is still to come up. And so I typically come away with very distinct practical applications, but I know that's different than for most.
Okay. Well, hey, everyone I know at the NMC is working in at least 5 projects at once, so I think that's extremely helpful. What about you, Jonathan N.? What have you been able to apply to your own work that you think has been extremely valuable?
Yeah, sorry, Sam, you mean from being at the different conferences?
Yeah, maybe there's a session you've attended that's, helped you with a project, or, with just something that you've been working on, a valuable tidbit you picked up.
Yeah, cool. I'll go back to talking about Dr. Rubin and SEMA model again, actually, if I can stick to that topic, Sam.
Sure.
So from, I was describing how I had been able to have that early meeting, with Dr. Rubin himself, and like one of the things that I'm actually working with Gordon to try and hopefully get ready by summer conference now is an introductory course to the SEMA model as part of the NMC Academy. And so that's a direct link from that earlier meeting. And then the different other connections, etc., that I've made at the other conferences. And then getting to the place where actually, let's put together a little course so that everybody can have that introduction, to SEMA. And I think it was the conference last year in Portland where I actually, again, had a bit more time to sit down with Dr. Rubin and actually just record some video, which will be part of the course now this year. So, yeah, all those little opportunities, sort of all linked together and then make something that hopefully we can give back to other people to be able to have some of those learnings as well around, a great useful topic like the SEMA model. So, that's been a great practical outcome. Mm-hmm.
Great, and speaking of practical outcomes and those types of opportunities, if you're coming to summer conference with some very specific goals in mind, I'd love to point you over to our summer conference pathways, which you can learn more about on the summer conference event page. This year we have 5 pathways for really just different ways to engage with the conference. We have a digital strategies pathway, for example, where there's lots of talk about blended learning models, flipped classroom, mobile learning in some ways, just different approaches to teaching and learning. We have creativity and making, which is all about that, the shift to that creation-centered culture of learning where people are using maker spaces. Students and faculty alike are creating, lots of media. So highly recommend that pathway. We have rethinking traditional roles, which is all about reimagining the way that we perceive faculties, instructors, and even students. And those are just 3 of the 5 pathways, so make sure to check those out as well. Nancy, I want to hear from you a little bit about what people can expect this year at the 2015 Summer Conference Idea Lab.
Oh, the Idea Lab this year is what it is. It replaces, this is the second year we've done it, and it replaces what in the past we've called the Poster Interactives and Art Show. And so during this event, we're looking for really creative presentations, and there'll be about 30 of them. And the attendees are get the time for 2 hours to roam around and look at the presentations, meet the presenters, and ask questions. And lunch will be served during this event as well. It's also judged by your peers, and there will be an award ceremony at the closing session.
Yeah, really excited for that. One of my favorite things about Idea Lab is that it is very much like an art gallery in that you walk around the space and look at the different exhibits or demonstrations, displays, interactives. But you get to talk to the people. It's like going to the gallery, but the artist is there to explain the intention and the meaning and what's next. You get to talk to all the people who are leading specific educational technology initiatives or pilot programs. And I've actually seen collaborations born at the Idea Lab where maybe faculty member at different universities haven't realized that they're working on virtually the same type of project, and they're able to leverage each other's strengths and fill in any voids by working together and joining forces. So definitely highly encourage you to attend the Idea Lab if you have an idea that's even just a little seed, because by this time next year it might be a full-blown tree. So definitely check out that Idea Lab. So we also can't forget about the bookends of our summer conference. We have a really exciting opening and closing keynote from Bill Frakes and Liz Neely. And kind of the overarching theme of both of their talks is really hitting on the core of creativity. Nancy, do you want to talk a little bit about the speakers? And I know that you're friends with both, so what can we expect?
Sure. The opening keynote is going to be by Liz Neely, and she's a museum consultant. She was with the Art Institute of Chicago and has recently moved over to New Mexico, and she's doing more consulting at this time. And so I don't have her description for her presentation yet, but I'm sure it's going to be very thought-provoking and interesting. The closing keynote this year is going to be Bill Frank, the renowned photojournalist, that's going to be speaking about his Nebraska project. That project continues. He gave us a little glimpse of it last year at the conference at a special session, and this year we've invited him back to continue his work for the closing presentation. So I just posted the link, and you can read more about the keynote presenters there.
Fabulous. And as long as we're talking about keynotes and Idea Lab, Peggy, do you want to talk to us a little bit about Autodesk and their involvement in our fabulous corporate partner showcase?
So the opportunity is obviously for Autodesk to share some new technologies, announce some new programs and products, and it's also an opportunity for us to see what other people are doing. So we have the opportunity really to not only talk about what we're doing, but also hear what faculty and teachers need, and figure out a way to incorporate that in our free content and curriculum that we provide. So it's really for us an opportunity to share, but also an opportunity to learn and make kind of the offerings and the things that we're doing through the academy that you mentioned, through our products and our content. And so it's just it's a great, to me, a way to sort of, it's a win-win for us, only in that we're sharing, but we're also learning.
I love that, sharing and learning. I think that really encapsulates what the summer conference is all about. And we know, as much as we try, and we'd love to get you over to the conference to DC in June, we realize some people inevitably, sadly, may not be able to go. So Jonathan N., how can someone engage with summer conference if they can't go? I know you got a lot of friends in Australia, so what would be your best advice to them if they can't make it?
That's better. Yeah, I think it's one of the better conferences for following on Twitter, for sure. The number of people that are plugged into social media is pretty high at NMC conference, so following the hashtag, so if you're using the hashtag NMC15, will that be the conference hashtag as well, Sam?
NMC15.
Yeah, so that's a nice, short, simple one, and following along from there, you'll get so many different perspectives. People will be in all the different sessions, putting out what are the best links and the best quotes and all that sort of stuff. So I definitely recommend that as being far and away one of the best options for people.
Yeah, and actually, Jonathan has previously participated in our summer conference contributors program, and I'm happy to announce that that's going to be back in effect this year as well. So last year we had about 20 volunteers from NMC institutions, people who were Instagramming, they were Vining, they were YouTubing, they were blogging, basically anything with an ing at the end they were doing. So next week I'm going to be formally opening the call for summer conference contributors, and it's actually going to be a badgeable activity. So if you're interested in blogging, YouTubing, taking photos for the summer conference, we're so happy to promote your work and recognize you for your efforts. And if you're going to be taking notes and other things anyways to take back to your institution, if you're going to be doing it anyways, you might as well formalize it by joining the NMC Summer Conference Contributors team. So look for an email from me about that opportunity next week. But also, if you can't wait and you want to get involved right away, you can always email me at samantha@nmc.org, and I'd love to talk to you about the many ways that you can get involved.
Or we can talk about you too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of getting involved, if there's any press in the audience or anyone who blogs for an online publication where you think that writing about some of the sessions you attend at the conference would be great to share with that publication or blog's audience, we also have a press program, and that's definitely something that you can contact me about. Again, Samantha@nmc.org. If you are a member of the press or you moonlight as a blogger in all your spare time, let me know. Let's see how we can work that into this year's event. And I'd also be remiss not to talk a little bit about the session that I am co-leading with the NMC staff, particularly Alex in the audience, and Victoria, Michelle, and Larry as well. A lot has happened with the NMC Horizon project in just the past year. This year we broke 5 million downloads across the whole series, which is just staggering. It's pretty amazing. Our readership now extends to 195 countries. We're publishing more translations and country-level reports by the day. So there's so many exciting things that have happened in the past year and are about to happen over the next year that we thought summer conference would be a really good time to sort of reflect on where we've been, talk a little bit about where we're going, and maybe also talk about how some of the reports and the themes are starting to converge. What are some commonalities? What are some themes between all education sectors that are really advancing the use of emerging technology for teaching and learning, for informal learning and museum, education and interpretation, for libraries? We're going to hit them all. So I encourage you to come to our Horizon session. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so moving on a little bit. So some other things to talk about. There's a NMC orientation scheduled for Tuesday at 4 p.m., and that's for newcomers, right, Nancy?
Yes, that is for newcomers. It's going to be at 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, and at that time we invite all of the new members and the new conference attendees to join us, and the staff will be leading that session to give you some tips and tricks about how to get along, get around the conference, and what to expect, and just the best ideas. So please join us if you're new to the conference, and if you've been to a conference before. Every conference is different, so please join us at that time.
Can't make any promises, but I will say we gave out candy last year, so that's any kind of incentive. All right, so I realize that we are at the top of the hour, and I just want to make sure that we've kind of answered any questions or hit on all the points. So at this moment in time, I'd love to give everyone, all the panelists, an opportunity to provide some kind of closing thoughts on what they might expect to see, or more details on what you've loved that you've seen in the past, and just, gems you want to leave us with. So let's start with you, Steve Hargadon.
So, of course, after that last segment of what we have done, the projects, I realized, well, the Future of Museums conference came out of NMC, and I completely spaced on that. I love this event. I love the people. It's something I really look forward to. So hopefully if you come, we'll get a chance to sit down and talk.
Great. Thank you, Steve. How about you, Peggy? Any closing thoughts?
I think it's a great conference. It's certainly one of my favorites. When you look at the landscape of all the different conferences out there, I think we've touched on all the points. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of great people to meet, and again, fun to be had.
Excellent. Looking forward to seeing you there. Nancy, Queen of Summer Conference, any closing thoughts or logistical matters about hotel, lodging, travel?
I just want to make sure to, I hope to see all at the summer conference this year. It's going to be a great time in Washington, D.C. I just want to throw in there really quickly, because I know we're at the end of time, that the Hilton Alexandria Mark Center that we're going to be at, the conference will be held entirely there. The room rate, special rate is $199, which is a great deal. And please make your reservations by May 7th. I also want to throw in there that they offer complimentary shuttle to many of the attractions and locations there. And so I would suggest that you check with the hotel as soon as you get there and get reserved on the shuttle that you want to attend. And we're going to have a great conference for you all, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Nancy. What about you, Jonathan F.?
Just, I not only look forward to coming to NMC events, and it's going to be exciting to be co-presenting on the topics I talked about earlier, but I find that based on the questions and feedback and discussion I have during my sessions, it invigorates new ideas on thinking. So for me, it's not just about being a presenter and sharing information, it's about the feedback and where that ultimately sends me after the event. So I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to seeing all of you.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Jonathan Alder, what about you?
I'm looking forward to whatever other connections I'm going to make and meet, but especially I'm doing a ideas lab session around what we call info pics, so imaging, putting text and all kinds of fun stuff over images to communicate your messages and that sort of stuff, and actually going to be able to print out little images for people on the spot. So that's just going to be a heap of fun. It'll be the first time I've been in the ideas lab actually, so that's going to be great.
I'm really looking forward to that one, I have to say. Excited that you're joining us there. Gordon, how about from you? Any closing thoughts?
Just that I'm still going through conference withdrawal from not attending the last one, so that will be abated now that I get to go to the one in June.
Conference withdrawal is a serious epidemic. It happens every June, I'm telling you. It is. Michael, how about you?
Well, first, I was just going to comment that when Nancy said complimentary shuttle, I thought she was starting to say complimentary champagne. That was a little disappointing. But complimentary shuttle sounds pretty good. It's a combination of knowing that I'm going to see a lot of people that I really like and that I can learn from and learn with, and then I'm bound to meet 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 new people that are then going to become part of that larger community that is all looking for what's around the corner, and it sounds hokey, but really what's over the horizon. And I kind of think of the NMC folks and the people who are drawn and attracted to NMC as a bunch of people who are constantly kind of standing on their tiptoes trying to see what's over the horizon. And somehow when you do it together with other people and have those conversations, you seem to get a little better picture. Not that you necessarily really can see it. I think people have said, well, look at the predictions you make, look how wrong so many of them are. But it's not really about the predictions, it's about changing the way you think and always being looking forward and thinking strategically about what's coming up. And that's what NMC, more than any other organization, has been for me.
Wow, so well said. We need to, put that on some coffee mugs and some T-shirts. It's so true. It really is.
Big coffee mug.
Yeah. Lifelong learning with lifelong friends. That's what it feels like. So yeah, you just tugged at my heartstrings a little, Michael. I think that's a really, really terrific note to end on. So that being said, thank you so much to all the panelists who took time out of your busy schedules to talk about what we can expect from you and what you can expect from the conference. And to all of our attendees of today's event, we really do hope to see you in DC. So let's get ready for June to make some history together in DC. Thank you. And back over to you, Alex.
All right, thank you. I'd like to thank our moderator and panelists on behalf of the NMC for taking time to give us a preview of the NMC 2015 Summer Conference. Viewers, if you want more information on anything you saw or heard today, let us know by contacting me directly at alex@nmc.org. To learn more about future NMC Beyond the Horizon programs and to get involved in our community, please visit our website at nmc.org, like us on Facebook, or friend us on Twitter at nmc.org. Stay tuned. We'll be announcing a series of upcoming Beyond the Horizons soon that we're thinking about creating into course listings into our academy, so you'll be hearing more about that very soon. So thank you for your time today and your patience at the beginning of the broadcast as we kind of overcame our technical challenges and got a preview of the summer conference. So with that, I want to say goodbye to everybody and have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.